And we're back. Seamless transition, even though I probably walked like 50 steps. But there we go. Let it not be said that I don't put effort into these videos. Says the guy who openly says he does not put effort into these videos. Let's do a mirror close up, right? Look at that. Sun at the end, right? Same good things as the shirt sponsor. And who can argue against a tasteful shirt sponsor? I have actually grown. Well, again, if everything is aesthetics, everything is ultimately just aesthetics, then I certainly appreciate. Yeah, so I think there's a bright point. I think I have to give credit to Janan Ganesh, that twat of the FT. Credit. Okay, that's what I can talk about. I can just repurpose Janan Ganesh articles, which frankly is not a bad idea. But because I dislike the guy in like a professional resentment type of way, or the resentment you feel towards someone who is clearly smarter than you are, in that sense. But he had the nice point, right, that imagine if in COVID people like Trump was pro-masking, right? Like how quickly, or how like the entire post-COVID conversation would be different, right? Where if Trump was pro-masking, then right, other people would be anti-masking as a way to just be in opposition to him, right? And convexly, and we have like the current universe, right? Where we do know the counterfactual, where he was not pro-masking, and you saw like how that became a thing. And so John Ganesh's point is that people aren't necessarily first principle thinkers when it comes to informing their political views, as much as they are Is this a dead end? Look at that. Look at that cool boat. And a nice old wear a life jacket. Very nice. But so his point pretty much is that people, they know what tribe they belong to, and then they backfill their beliefs. Which I think if you read that, you're probably like, no, I do first principles thinking, but I am inclined to think that he was onto something. That's why I just say I'm a closeted aesthetic leftist, but otherwise politically amorphous. So that's that point on Janan Ganesh. The other nice point he made in a more recent post is about like intra and intergenerational conflict. And his point was where like people like to complain about baby boomers, but as baby boomers pass down their inheritances in the next decade, that is going to dramatically just expose differences, right, in the amount of wealth or resources people will have. And his point was, like, in the past, like, you would have you would have known the difference by now, but because of improved life expectancy, like now you see the difference after you've gotten to know people and you've been. So it's like you start. Whereas before, like you would already be at a different starting point, whereas now you start at the same starting point, but 10 years later someone's going to get a big boost, or I guess 20 years later, whatever, 30 years, someone's going to get a big boost and move up on the y-intercept. So it doesn't seem that relevant for Gen Z per se, but it's an idea, it's a concept. Can't say I really know what it is, but it is probably like, think about housing prices and how housing prices are terrible. But that is, some of that is predicated on the fact that the housing supply is somewhat inelastic, just given building and all of that, or lack thereof. But if there is a big generational turnover, that kind of fixes your issues, right? Like, so there's Waterfront metro station. If I took the green line instead of yellow line, I could have started my video here. But instead, we walked around government buildings and we saw HUD. So you can complain. But pretty much this is the route. If we take metro, this is effectively the route you would take to get to Audi Field. So we will recreate that walk in the abstract, and you can use Google Gemini VO3 to use AI to fill in the gap. The 2 blocks I skipped. I also did skip the Safeway. For some reason, I associate Safeway as a lower prestige store than others. I don't know if I associate Safeway with Publix, and therefore, like, I view Florida in the abstract as low prestige. But it is funny how, like, words for associations, right? The linguistics, it's not the right word, because that's like the speaking, but I forget the term for like the etymology of words and all that. But it is nice how literally words that have French origin are associated as being like more sophisticated versus like the more German origin, which is incredible if you think about it. Now, the only solution, of course, is to have... What the fuck? Man, that... that is incredible, man. Loose pit bulls, man. That is actually new. It's a new sign, because I was here back in June for 2 Club World Cup matches. And that sign was not there then. Dude, but loose pit bulls, that is actually... Of course, this is a joke, right? Like, the heroic pit bull. The heroic pit bull running a mile into sea. Heroic pit bull runs a mile into the ocean to bite a child. That would be terrifying, man. A pit bull, especially a loose pit bull. At least if the owner's there, you can pretend that like helps on the way, But if it's a loose pit bull, man, I forget if it's pit bulls or bulldogs. Maybe they're the same. Maybe they're the same. Again, if your travel vlogger was taller, we could peek into that hole. Alas. So I'm not sure if pit bulls and bulldogs are the same. This is actually... So, of course, again, bouncing around so much over the place. This is what happens when I can't talk about my favorite rambling topic of of dating or stocks I should have bought. Anyways, we live and learn. But so Meta released their new glasses, which they claim is super. It's a bit weird of a marketing pitch to call it super intelligence. You know, because like the classic issue, right, is like compute versus mobility, right? You can have like a VR headset like Oculus where you don't have an external pack, but you're gonna have less power, or you could have something like Apple's headset, where it has a lot of power, but you have to carry the side pack with you. Right, so you can pick your poison. And so if you're wearing glasses on your head, presumably, you can't have that much power. And of course, if you can't run it natively, then you're gonna have a lot of lag. So to call it super intelligence is probably questionable. And then it's like, is super intelligence even a good marketing thing? Like, does the average person want super intelligence? Probably not. Or it just sounds so abstract. The average person probably wants is a useful assistant that can help them, or something that's easily integrated into everyday life. As just, a useful assistant. Effectively, right? Like a Siri on steroids is kind of probably what the average person wants. I don't know. But conceptually, these glasses are better and can do more, and there's more augmented reality stuff. Which is nice, which is fine. But yeah. And so I just suppose if I had those glasses, I could easily look up, are pit bulls the same as bulldogs? But alas, I only have regular glasses, which does not help me. And there is the use case. And that is a use case that Meta could argue in marketing videos. Nice cultural amenities. Again, right, to the point about DC, right, you can just see contrast. To the point about being able to see contrast easily. I don't know. Something about that. Anyways, insert something about gentrification. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But again, back to the French words versus English words things, right? It is funny, right? How some words just have this glaringly obvious associations, right? And by extension, so do animals, right? And it's I'm fairly certain most people would agree that a pit bull is not a high class type of dog, or a pit bull is not associated with, it's not a prestige dog, right? I think it's safe to say that pit bulls are decidedly low status. But I suppose by virtue of that, right, no one's really gonna want to disprove that Larry Ellison, let me know when you get a pit bull, eh? Are there other things? Is wearing soccer jerseys as streetwear? Is that low prestige? Man, maybe. Might be. Look at that sunrise. What a pleasant day. Now, I can't say, again, I will say, I do truly despise MLS as a concept. As an entity, I do truly despise MLS. I think it's horrible that the US can't have a promotion relegation system. Like, it's truly baffling, right? Like, think about the NFL, right? You have 32 teams, and you're telling me that New England represents, right? Like, it's insane that it's called the New England Patriots. Like, you're telling me that one team based in Boston monopolizes the entire New England corridor? Like, no, like the saying all politics are local. By extension, right? That means, right, there's like a certain degree of like, local passion and local niche. And that's, I don't know. I tend to think where teams should be a bit more useful and relevant to the local climb, per se. Yeah. I think it's a bit baffling that, like the Minnesota Vikings. It's just so strange. Like, that represents the entire state of Minnesota. Like, I don't know, man. I do not know. That just doesn't seem the most actionable or practical. But I do suppose the powers that be have different incentives on what to show. Do. But yeah, you can really feel the yuppiness, right? The classic yuppie apartment building. So I've never actually walked down this way, all the way to the edge of the waterfront. So this will be a novelty. But you can kind of see how it is kind of inconvenient to get to, right? Because there is not an easy metro connection. But it is nice, right? So we literally right past, right? What you would probably call not great housing, which you would consider like a certain code of housing. And then here we are, right? Where it's very clearly a different type. So which I say kudos, And again, right, I live in a basement, so I live in a 50-year-old's basement. So I've literally no room to ever comment or critique anybody. But yeah, pretty much. It would be nice to not live in a 50-year-old guy's basement with crappy roommates who like to sing karaoke. It's not karaoke, but what else would you think is sing? Or FaceTime or whatever, a bit too much. Yeah, life, again, right, if yesterday we had a revelation that, like, a big source of regret is not taking enough risk, another source of consternation is that, you know, life could be so much better. is the simple takeaway. Otherwise, like genuinely, it wouldn't take a lot different for life to be different. Look at it. And there's a sky bridge. That's actually pretty dope. And it's a rainbow sky bridge. What are you talking? Oh my gosh. That is so dope. So dope. Man, my opinion of Navy Yard has actually gone up as a result. Because that is actually... Oh, these sky bridges are actually pretty cool. It's a shame New York City doesn't have more of them. Or they've gotten rid of some of them. Or most of them. I think there's only one sky bridge left, and it's going to get destroyed because of a renovation of the Macy's building or whatever. Which is a shame. Because they're just cool, right? Think about, like, I guess one view of modernity was Robert Moses and that school, but you had another view, right, which is kind of just like that, but less car brutalism and more just architecture brutalism. Yeah. I don't know. That universe would be cool. Like sky bridges everywhere. I fully get why that wouldn't work in DC because of the skyline limitations, but man, you're telling me New York City can't handle sky bridges everywhere? Pretty dope. You wouldn't have homeless in a sky bridge. And that is a message that was not appreciated back in the day. Yeah. Look at that. Not a bad existence. You know, you can appreciate, now I can appreciate why people live in Navy Yard, you know. You can think of Navy Yard as being like, or certainly like the joke about Navy Yard, right, is that it's like Republican coded for DC. I don't know how true that is. Certainly not up to me to decide those matters, but having this on your doorstep, nobody around. It's not like I'm super early, right? It's 7:30. Okay, let's change the song. Right, but it's only 7:30. It's completely empty. Pretty nice existence, I would argue. Walking around, holding hands. Okay, stop it. Stop it. That's enough. Bad. Okay, so we're just gonna loop around the waterfront. Because again, I've never walked by it. And then we'll loop to Nationals Park and call it at that station. Because not that I want to watch football or soccer, but there are some good matches today. Roma, Milan, Napoli, Barca, Real Sociedad, I've included like, because there's a difference between speaking a language and speaking well without an accent. I mean, I've concluded strongly that like, comes to Spanish or any language, I will decidedly have an accent. Look at that. There's a bench for you to use. Man. Frankly, like it's somewhat grungy. That adds to the aesthetic. Man. Waterfront has got it all. Yeah, in Spanish, like I cannot roll my R's. Correr, 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 correr. You know, I can't do it. And same with like the Spanish, like Spain Spanish, the TH. I can't do it. Barcelona, Real Sociedad. I can't do it. But even when it comes to English, can't say I speak English the best either, you know. Brother, right? Oh yeah. If I say brother, like you probably notice something to how I say it. But what can you do? What can you do? Brother. Yeah, man. THs, man. Got a nice little retro car. Look at that Navy Yard. What a pleasantly surprised. What is this building? Oh, I have no idea. Buzzard Point? Buzzard Point? It's an apartment building? I have no idea. I assume it's a power building of a power station of some sort. Yeah. What is that? Oh, plastic bottles. I respect that. Plastic bottles probably aren't great. Probably. They aren't great. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Work camera. Look at that hair. Sea salt spray or something. You can vaguely see the Capitol building from here. Okay, yeah, this is an electricity thing. I can feel the volts. So yesterday I was watching a video on data centers. And the conclusion, of course, well, it's the classic, like, data centers are good, nuclear is good, and nuclear is, but people don't want, just don't put it in my neighborhood, right? Now the funny thing is, like, where I grew up in Pennsylvania, I live like 5 miles from a nuclear power plant, so it's how I know I'm getting close on the highway, because I can see the steam coming out of it. So it is actually funny because, like, I signed up for the emails of one of the local, like, the state representative, and occasionally in his emails, he will send, like, pick up iodine tablets, right? Of course, because iodine helps with your thyroid gland if there's radiation, so you don't die, right? Or you don't ingest as much radiation. Or something. But, you know, it's like a reminder, right, that the nuclear power plant exists and is real and actually has an impact on your life, which is why they offer the iodine tablet in the first place. Now, of course, I think nuclear is safe. I suppose the debate on where to put nuclear waste and the big, like, Nevada fiasco, or is it Utah, is another discussion. But I don't know. I live next to a nuclear power plant. It's a visual marker, but it is but again, right, it's not like my neighborhood's the best. They would not build a nuclear power plant in Chevy Chase, you know. And that's kind of the crux of the issue, isn't it? Right, that people pick up on, right? Or they are building data centers everywhere. But man, it'd be not. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel a bit of self-loathing now. When I return to my basement. It's not. I stop saying that. It's not my basement. It is the basement which I rent access to. There we go. Words matter after all, right? Yeah. No. Pleasant day, actually. Pleasant day, and heaven knows I'm hungry now. Okay, so let's walk to Navy Yard Ballpark. There is a nice park by Nationals Stadium. I'm not sure how much sticking around will do for that, but got Audi field. Again, I think, man, that's such a good poignant line. The pain, like, life could be so much better if only I made slightly different decisions. Oh my gosh, man. Life. that genuinely, it certainly encapsulates my feelings at 23. I do think there's something universal to the idea, right? You wish you took more risk, and by extension, if you did, life could be so much better. There is the counterfactual to taking too much risk, where it doesn't go well. It's never like I'm talking about financial risk or leveraging up to the gills, up to the less savory word that you could use. But yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, that is such a great, poignant observation, man. Congrats to me for having the novel insight. Life could be so much better. As I shed a tear, metaphysically, man. Oh man, there's an alternate universe. There's some version of me where I rolled the dice properly, and I am in that universe. I would not be recording this video at that time. I would be doing something else on my Sunday morning. I don't know what. But it would be something else, and it wouldn't necessarily be because I'm here. Fill in the blanks what you think I would be doing if I was more risk-seeking and had a better existence. All things. Jaywalking once again. Let's go. Man, yeah, like life, yeah, an alternate 23-year-old David could be, oh my gosh, that's so, in such a better spot. Alas, here we are. I don't know. Look at that. That is not a so nice little panoramic shot. Yeah, not bad actually. Slow it down. All right, the Capitol building. You can see it, kinda. National Stadium, Audi Field, yuppie apartment buildings. Man, you could say life is kind of, yeah, I don't know. You could argue life is kind of good if you're in this spot. You could argue, or it would be good. Now let's get my, solemn face into the shot with the nice. It is actually, if you think about it, a nicer bridge than it should be, conceptually. Right. Yeah, you can feel the sea salt spray. Am I right? Yeah. I don't know. Life is kind of, or can be dreary, but what a nice find, David. This is actually a nice spot. Kudos. And again, it's completely empty. So I don't know. Kudos to me once again for. And now my socks are wet. Damn it. Nothing worse than having to spend a full work day with wet socks, which happened to me on Thursday. But well, worth it. Worth it for the view. Strangely, reflective Sunday before I spend my usual Sunday doing some finance things and soccer or football things and everything else as a guy. So I've started to get back into my yoga routine. I do find it incredibly amusing, right? Because yoga, it's not like you're in an active position all the time, right? So I think it's incredibly amusing to do, to check a dating app while doing yoga. And I'll be in some, you wouldn't call it downward dog. That's not the right position. But, yeah, sorry. I don't respect MLB enough to really care about the stadium. I am just gonna walk by it. But it is funny to be in like a downward dog or baby's pose, like resting position, while sending out desperate likes or swipes. Because I suppose one thing, you can have some inhibition about how desperate or sincere or forthcoming you want to be, and it does help if you are literally bent over. So where you're on your hands and knees literally. It's yeah, my inhibitions are somewhat moderated at the moment, which is a nice reflection to have. But again, yeah, I don't know. It's all amusement, and it is nice at the end of the day, right, to stretch your quads or whatever. It doesn't feel bad. You feel better. You can justify what you're doing, right? But no, I'm not wasting time on these dating apps. I'm just doing yoga. And I'm just letting myself loosen up. Bam, time is justified. Let's go. Feel better about yourself already. Top tier stuff right there. G. But yeah, this is gonna be longer. Because what? The first part was 20 minutes. This is now 40 minutes, so we hit the hour mark. Yeah, I'm hungry, bro. X golf, man, tells you all you need to do, right? Like, you don't need to be the smartest. Like, you don't need to come up with the original ideas. You just need to be aware enough and willing to concede insights from other people. Just how I take ideas from Janat Ganesh. At least I give attribution, right? But that tells you all you need to know about, right, MLB and the target audience, right? If you have an X golf, buy your place. Well, what do you know? X golf, MLB, target demographic. I don't know. Tells you all you need to know. Oh yeah, good old sewage over yonder. Sewage treatment plants. Because why not? Yeah, it is nice outside. But that looks like a pretty modern sewage treatment plant, if you ask me, right? Man. Do we peek inside? Man. Dude, oh my gosh. If I was taller, you could actually do it. Oh my gosh. Actually, oh man. Frankly, I think being shorter is actually, all things equal, much better. Right? Your heart works less. It's more, or like having smaller hands, I think it actually is nice. Like, I don't know. I can access, I can reach places, you know, I don't need to worry about getting my hands stuck. Same being short. It's nice. It's nice not having to duck to get under a tree branch, you know. I do suppose on the other hand, you can be literally invisible in dating apps, or the obvious like attractiveness factor or whatever, but I don't know. I think about not having to duck under a branch much more than I think about that. So. And again, back to the should have drank more milk time machine.